What's up, y'all? That's something I wanted to share that I was given a couple years ago, like revelation that the Most High gave me about food. And the revelation was about how food is deeply spiritual. And once I heard that food was deeply spiritual, I started like thinking about instances in the scripture where food was connected to something spiritual. It was connected to some type of agreement. The first thing that I thought of was Genesis, Adam and Eve. So the first time that we read about in scripture where there was something to eat connected to some kind of spiritual agreement, it was when Adam and Eve ate of the forbidden fruit. And we know the result of that, the entire creation failed. And the next time, I'm just going to go through what I can think of. There may be more. You may be able to think of some yourself. The next thing that I thought about was with Abraham. With Abraham, if you recall, he was in his tent and 3 messengers appeared to him. 3 messengers came to him, and he begged them to stay. He said he wanted to prepare food for them. He said that he wanted to give them water, wash their feet. They stayed and they enjoyed a meal together with him. And then they asked where his wife was. And after they asked where his wife was, that's when he received the prophecy that he would have a son. And that's when Sarah laughed. Okay, so if you think about it, right then he received the word that he was going to have a son, a promise, a prophetic word. And this was right after they shared a meal together. So again, there was eating involved. Another example is with Jacob and Esau. We know that when Esau was hungry, he saw that Jacob had some red pottage. He had some food. Esau asked for it. And then he was so hungry that he just agreed to trade his birthright. And he traded his birthright, and after he gave Jacob the word, yes, you can have my birthright, whatever, just give me the food, then Jacob gave him the food and he ate it. That was agreement. That was like a major thing too, because once he traded that food and he ate that food, he came into agreement with giving away his entire inheritance. And then immediately after that, Jacob went in, he deceived Isaac, posing as Esau. And Isaac had told Esau, he said, he knew that he was getting ready to die, that his eyes were growing dim, and he instructed his oldest son, he instructed Esau to go and to give me some venison and some wild herbs prepared and let me eat it so I can give you your blessing and die. But then it was actually Jacob that came in. So Jacob's mother and Jacob, really his mother was behind it, but his mother had him to go in there and take some other food that they had actually prepared. And so this food was prepared by Jacob's mother and himself, and he took the food in there to Isaac, and he gave Isaac the food. Isaac ate the food, and then he gave Jacob Esau's actual blessing. So there was food involved. There was like an exchange right there. And then when Esau found out what happened, when they figured out what happened, it was too late. He was crying, and Isaac was devastated because he was like, it's gone. I gave it away. He couldn't take it back. So you see right there, there was an agreement right there that he told him, go get the food, bring it to me, and I'll give you your blessing. That's what happened. But Jacob actually got that blessing. Another example, in 1 Kings with Elijah and a woman and her son, when they were starving, and she was saying she didn't have anything, that she and her son were getting ready to die. She was about to make that last little bit of oil, use that last bit of oil and that last flour to make one more cake before she and her son died. And Elijah was like, no, I'll make that for me, which actually sounded crazy. It sounded very selfish, but he had already had a word from the Most High that this woman was going to be blessed. And he asked her to prepare some food for him first. So she, being obedient and having faith in the Most High Yah, she prepared food first for Elijah and gave it to him. And because she gave that food to him, then she received a blessing of abundance in her household, and all her jars were filled with oil, and she had more food and she never ran out. Another example, the book of Daniel. Daniel and his friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they denied the king's table. So they were in the custody of the king, in captivity and in the king's custody, and they were supposed to eat from the king's table, which was supposed to be a privilege. But they having a set apart diet, they were like, we don't want to eat that. We don't want to eat from the king's table. Like, that food is unclean. We don't want his unclean food. And they told their handler that they did not want to eat that food. So they decided that they would just eat the pulse, which is food growing from the ground, vegetables or maybe fruits. But they decided they would just eat pulse. And when he ate the pulse only, they saw after so much time that their countenance was brighter, their flesh was fatter, like they looked healthy. They had clarity in their minds. And the reason why Daniel didn't want to eat the king's food, it wasn't because it was nasty. It wasn't because it didn't taste good. I'm pretty sure it was probably top of the line food. However, he understood that this is not food that's supposed to be in my diet. It's unclean. It's not healthy for my body. And if I eat it, then I'm not going to be able to operate my abilities the way that I should. So he denied it, and he ate the food that the Most High gave to him, the diet that the Most High gave to him. And then as a result, he was able to maintain his operation and how he operated his gifts, which was the entire reason why they were in captivity anyway, because they were so great in their gifts. Another example in the scripture about spiritual agreements with food, feast days, all the appointed times of the Most High, that is a feast day, they include food for a reason. The Most High calls us to a feast, not because he's hungry, not because he needs food, but because when we come on one accord and we come into agreement with the appointed time and with the purpose that it was set for, and then we take food into our bodies, food that we're instructed to eat, that brings us into an agreement, and it brings us into the agreement of the word that the Most High has for us at that time. It brings us into agreement for whatever blessings he has for us, whatever knowledge and wisdom that he wants to send to us at that time. So that's why feast days are very, very important. And on the flip side, pagan feast days, which are pagan holidays that the Most High has not called us to celebrate, has not called us to partake in. When you come into agreement with that, you're on one accord, and it doesn't matter how you feel about whatever your stance is on why you celebrate the thing. What matters is that this thing was set for on this day. It's an appointed time for this date and time for this reason, and celebration of whatever events or whatever false god. And then you're being instructed to celebrate a certain way with certain foods and in a certain manner. And if you participate in that, then when you ingest that food, you are coming into agreement with whatever purpose that was set for that day, no matter how you feel about it. Even if you feel like, even if you didn't even know, even if you're like, man, I didn't even know all about that, I'm just trying to get together with my family, it doesn't matter. If you came together on that day for that set forth purpose and having those foods and you ingest that into your body, you're coming into agreement with whatever wickedness was set for that. Other examples, the last supper or the Passover that was eaten right before Yahushua's death. He sat down with his disciples and he broke bread with them. He broke bread with them. He told them, take, eat, this is my body. Take, drink, this is my blood. But that was a spiritual agreement. Like, that was very significant. That was something very, very huge spiritually that was about to take place. And when they ate and ingested it into their body, they came into agreement with everything that was going on right there, which in that case was a blessing. Other examples about how eating is connected to spiritual things. Eating in your dreams, which is not a good thing. When you eat in your dreams, strange things in your dreams, you see somebody bringing you food or you're eating something, and if your experience is anything like mine, if you're eating in your dreams, it's going to be something that's not even healthy. It's probably sugar, it's probably something unclean, something that's rich, something that's just not a healthy thing for your body. You're coming into agreement with something when you do that in your dreams. And really, when you do that in your dreams, you should immediately wake up and rebuke that, pray, fast, and try to reverse that thing. Other things, weddings, like we eat at weddings. Like, once a wedding ceremony takes place, like, so you have two individuals who are coming together into a union, which is very spiritual. They get ready to begin their family institution, and there are vows that are being spoken, and you're coming into agreement and saying, yes, I agree that you should be married, yes, I agree that you should be together. And then what do? You go to a reception and you eat and you take food into your body in celebration for what just happened. Like, this is very spiritual. We talked about holidays, celebrations, business deals. People eat over business deals. People go out to dinner in order to solidify a business deal. Even just your regular fellowship with your friends and for your family. Like, eating every day with your family. Like, we eat every day with our family because we're trying to like be on one accord and strengthen our bonds every day. Every day, reinforce that relational bond through eating together. That's why it's so important for families to eat together and not separately all the time. So, with that being said, all these examples that I showed you and how y'all revealed to me that food is deeply spiritual, in your everyday life, the things that you're eating, what are you coming into agreement with? Whatever you eat every day, what are you coming into agreement with? So if you're eating unclean food that the Most High Yahweh has commanded us not to eat, what are you coming into agreement with when you eat it? If you're eating foods with harmful ingredients, artificial dyes, artificial ingredients, all these chemicals, what are you coming into agreement with when you ingest that? When you eat foods that have darkness written all over it, like they're telling you that it's bad, like they have demonic names and demonic symbols right on the food, what are you coming into agreement with when you put that in your body? Who made your food? Just like we say, you can't eat at everybody's house. And it's not even just about cleanliness. You know, even if somebody does wash their hands, they can have the cleanest house. Even if you have the best ingredients, what's going on in your heart? Like, what are you up to? You know, people, you can speak things over people's food and you ingest that into your body, and it causes confusion in your body and confusion in your soul spiritually. So that's why we don't eat everybody's food. We don't eat at everybody's table. So we shouldn't be eating every product that's out. We shouldn't be eating at every restaurant that's out. Like what exactly are you coming into agreement with? I'm gonna give you another example of why I stopped eating at a lot of Asian places, right? But I don't really eat out anyway. But if I do, think about it. When you go into, if you go into like a Chinese place or a Thai place, and you look in the corner, and at the door they always have an altar. They always have a God right there. They have a God right there. I'm not gonna say always. I'm gonna say most of the time, because there are some you know, Chinese or Asian or Thai people who don't serve false gods, but they have a God sitting somewhere on the shelf. It might be behind the door, it could be in the corner, it could be way up, and it has incense right there. They'll have fruit, they have a picture, it'll be an altar right there. So if it's an altar right there, when they prepare your food and you get that that drunken noodles, that's what I used to like to get, and you get them spring roll and you ingest that in your body, what are you coming into agreement with? So with that being said, my whole entire purpose is to evoke in you a desire to ask yourself, what am I coming into agreement with everything that you eat? Everything that you eat. Not just going to a restaurant, not just at other people's house, but I'm talking about the stuff that you're buying and preparing for yourself. So that's why I really had to like discipline myself and come into agreement with the Most High Yah for what I should put into my body. And I desire to eat better and better and better every day, and deny myself every day, so that I can make sure that I'm coming into agreement with abundance and life and obedience and righteousness and health and wealth, and not sickness and confusion and destruction. All right? I don't want to come into agreement with that. So think about those things. What are you coming into agreement with every time you eat? See y'all.